South Africa has seen no shortage of fear and terror in the face of spiraling crime and violence. Mass shootings are on the rise, chased closely by out-of-control kidnappings. And now even our protectors have become our bullies. A massive effort has been instituted to combat illegal mining, while the arrest of convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester following his escape from prison questions the reliability of our correctional institutions. Well, where does it end? Are our leadership fully committed to crime prevention? Let's unpack some of the top stories that dominated headlines during the year that was. I'm Alyssa Dupré. It's been called the best escape. One of the biggest stories to steal headlines this year still has South Africans talking. The brazen escape of convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester sparked widespread anger in the country following his and his accomplices' arrests. Let's reflect on some of the highlights as the events unfolded.
We saw the charter plane, it landed, and of course the security officials were quite mum in terms of letting us know whether they were going to allow us into the landing strip. But at some point, we then saw Dr. Nandipha being taken into one of the vehicles that was going to transport them to a secure location, which I understand is the Kgosi Mampuru prison where our colleague Muluko Muloto is stationed. But we do know, of course, that Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandipha fled from South Africa around mid-March. Track and tracing teams then apprehended them in Tanzania, in Arusha. We understand that Thabo Bester was using a fake passport, disguising himself as a Tom Kelly. And we also understand that Dr. Nandipha had several passports on her as well, two of which belong to a close associate of hers. So right now the convoy has left Lanseria Airport, and I understand they are en route to Pretoria as we speak.
And speaking of which, colleague, let's head to Muluko Muloto, who is indeed stationed at Kgosi Mampuru. And Muluko, good morning to you as well, colleague. I mean, let's talk about what you've seen so far. Has Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester arrived at the facility?
As we are here, I can hear, actually I can even see the chopper, the police chopper that is hovering above us. I was just informed by Slindelo Masikane earlier that as the convoy departed that area, actually the police chopper was also hovering above. So the indication is that this chopper possibly is signaling that that convoy carrying Dr. Nandipha Magudumana as well as Thabo Bester is possibly nearing the Pretoria area. Of course, this is the story that would be of much interest to many South Africans. Their long wait for their arrival here on South African soil has finally come to an end.
Another story to rock the country has been growing criticism against blue light bullies. The video of 8 VIP protection members belonging to the Deputy President's security detail went viral, in which they're seen assaulting members of the public. This sparked widespread debate around the need for blue light brigades.
For the first time since the matter was brought to court, we see how the 8 VIP protection unit members of Deputy President Paul Mashatile really look like. The 8 are charged with several counts of assault, damage to property and pointing a firearm. They were seen on camera assaulting 3 civilians on the N1 highway in July this year. The state believes their case is strong.
We are ready to proceed to the next stage of the case, which is the trial process. Hence, we've requested a postponement for the 6th of May 2024 for the trial to resume.
Are you confident in your case? Do you think that the state has done a thorough investigation?
We are of the view that we have enough evidence to sustain the allegations leveled against the accused before court.
The 8 are back at work, but no longer protect the Deputy President. They are office-bound, and the state says it does not believe that them being back at work will interfere with the case.
The SAPS's internal departmental investigation has been finalized, and the Divisional Commissioner for Protection and Security Services has appointed senior officers to proceed with the disciplinary process. The 8 VIP protectors are back at work in line with our disciplinary regulations. They are office bound, these members, pending the finalization.
Trial will begin in May next year. Heidi Jokos in Johannesburg.
Earlier this year, Eastern Cape Police launched a manhunt for 3 suspects allegedly involved in the mass murder of 6 people in KwaNobuhle. Unfortunately, this horrific case is just a drop in the ocean of this rising trend.
The incident occurred at around 20 to 8 on Tuesday evening. A relative of one of the deceased says he witnessed the crime.
Intombazana le kaSinovuyo yathi awuSinovuyo la phakathi kandibuza kuye embuzeni kwami ke kulapho khona kusho izithonga zalamakhaladi lo muntu ngithetha ngaye ke ngulo nayo isolekileyo lentombazana yalapha emali.
It's believed 3 unknown gunmen approached this house. They opened fire at 2 women who were standing near the gate. One of the women was shot and killed, while the other was left injured. The 3 unknown gunmen then approached the house, where they shot 8 more people, shooting and killing 5 and injuring 3. One resident says she hopes to see more patrols in the area.
Abantwana bethu ngamaxhowa okudutyulwa sinqola amapolisa apatrole noma kuphelele imibane nje kupatrola amapolisa apha ngoba kaloku siyaboyika abantwana thina.
The house was known by the community and police as a drug den. Last week Saturday, SAPS even raided the property. The police hope that the community can also assist them in finding the killers.
Communities need to alert us of what's going on in their neighborhoods, because this is exactly what we want to prevent, is massacres and shootings where crime is actually quite rife. So we need them to come forward.
Some of the families of the deceased made their way to the house where the incident occurred. They are now hoping to get more answers from the police. Ronald Masinda in Kariega.
After the break, we look at more of the top stories and not to be missed anchor interviews throughout the year. Welcome back to the year that was. I'm Melissa Dupré. Illegal mining has been a recurring theme in our coverage this year. The affliction has affected several areas and resulted in harsh action by impacted communities. This has prompted police to step in. Let's take a look back.
They are well resourced. They know what they are doing. When you look into their logistics, the food, the equipment they have, the generators, the torches, you can see they can work 24/7.
Some of the South African National Defence Force findings on how illegal miners operate on their first day on the ground. The commander of the SANDF, though, says soldiers were well prepared and arrested over 24 people. The SAPS are grateful for the assistance.
There's more eyes and hands, on the searching, because they provide protection, while the searching is being conducted. So we are bigger numbers, when we approach some areas. It really assists us because the SANDF also other capacities, doing observation further away, the facilities around, they on the lookout for us and alert us on things that they observe.
While the crackdown on illegal mining operations continue, there are reports that recently closed mining holes in Riverlea have been reopened, with Zama-Zamas resuming operations once more.
We're monitoring, but you know for yourself that the SANDF came on board now. So our capacity, you understand, is better now. So we can talk a different language in respect of taking proper control or better control over the spaces where we operated.
The SANDF says it will take a while to completely eradicate the scourge.
If you look in Latin America, they've been fighting this for years. And it's about, you take Latin America, only illegal mining costing them $46 billion US. So not in the next 5 years. I think that is an ongoing operation, very long. It will cost the taxpayers, and it means the security forces will have to be resourced to be able to make sure we execute this plan.
Crackdown operations are expected to continue at illegal mining hotspots in Gauteng's West and East Rand and everywhere in between. Aviwem Tila, Raw Report.
The Senzo Mayiwe murder case is the longest-running murder trial in the country. Now it's honing in on the trial within a trial that seeks to determine the admissibility of confessions made by two of the accused. Almost a decade has passed since the soccer star was murdered. Here are some of the highlights.
The scenes at the Pretoria High Court on Monday as a prison warder clashed with the accused. Following this altercation, police have confirmed a case of assault has been opened against 3 of the accused.
We are investigating a case of assault following an incident in court on Monday where a prison official was attacked by accused 3, Carlos Mncube, accused 4, Sifiso Mapisa, and accused 5, Sifiso Kuhle.
Lobby group AfriForum, which are on a watching brief for the Mayiwa family, have also welcomed the move.
We have to make sure that justice is done and that people don't just say that this was an altercation in court. It's more than that. It's not only an altercation between 2 people in a court, it's an altercation with somebody in the execution of his duty that is part of the court and part of the judiciary, really. So we think it's very, very serious.
The 5 accused are in a trial within a trial, looking into whether confessions by 2 of them should be admitted as evidence in court. Muzika Kulelwa Sibiya and Bongani Ntanzi insist they were assaulted and tortured by the police into admitting to the murder. However, AfriForum is standing firm that Mayiwa's killing was a hit.
We said it from the start. I haven't changed my stance. I do think that it's important that we think it's not a robbery that went wrong, but rather a contract killing. And I do think that as the case develops and as the trial within trial develops, and if certain statements is admitted, then it will become more clear.
Meanwhile, the man in charge of the investigation has denied he forced accused Bongani Ntanzi to sign an already prepared statement. Ntanzi claims this happened on the 18th and 19th of June 2020 when Brigadier Bongani Kininda arrived during the assaults.
My lord, that's not true, first of all. That did not happen. So I will want to answer from the 19th moving backwards. So on the 19th of June, my lord, 2020, it is incorrect that there was such an incident because Sergeant Mokola, I want to start with her, she was taking, I think, accused number 1 to court. Furthermore, my lord, I was not with her on that specific day. I was doing my admin duties at the national office. Nowhere, even on the date of the 18th of June 2020, does it indicate that when accused was booked out by Sergeant Mohane, he was returned with injuries.
Attempts by accused 1 and 2's lawyer to postpone Kininda's cross-examination were thwarted by the court.
I was, for convenience, my lord, I was requesting that the matter be adjourned. No, it's...
Cross-examination continues on Thursday. Manqoba Mchunu, Pretoria.
According to police statistics, kidnappings for ransom have risen by nearly 200% over the last decade. But more and more we're seeing syndicates not only targeting the wealthy, now middle-class people are increasingly falling victim. Our shows and news teams conducted a special focus to demonstrate how this crime has impacted several areas.
An Ethiopian national has described the trauma of being kidnapped. He says 6 armed men took him away and he was eventually released the next day after managing to pay a ransom of 60,000 rand.
Those 6 of them, they take me from my car, then they put on them car, and then they took me, maybe they're driving with a damn car, 30 minutes, I think so, 30 minutes, they're driving. And then they put on them house, and then they're asking money, give us, we are kidnapping for money. We are not kidnapping for anything. We need money. You can give money. If you don't give money, we're going to kill you.
The 28-year-old says he was tortured and was dumped at a bush in Kon.
See the wires, the electric wires, the small one. They put it's too tired, this one. You see, It's getting better. If you say that maybe for 2 months, no, 1 month or 2 weeks, it's already damaged, this part. You see, also this part is damaged. Also there, you see some part is already damaged.
The Border-Kai Chamber of Business says kidnappings in the province are rife, and they also have lost faith in the police and other law enforcement agencies.
Check. He's coming to me now. He's got the gun out.
Wait, go back and try to get the license.
Hey, they put him in a boot.
The business community now say, am I going to be next? Am I going to be the one, and that is why they are resorting to paying protection fees, as much as 200,000 at times. And that is not fair for a businessman to now have to worry about his safety, yet he is creating jobs, yet he is contributing to the economy of this region. It is not fair. And we need our Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, together with his commissioners, to come up with a backup plan. It is not fair that our business community have to live in fear.
The recent scourge of business-related kidnappings in the province has raised a lot of fears, and it is hoped that the business community can also see meaningful arrests being made so that they can enjoy their livelihoods. Ronald Masinda on.
More top stories and interviews after the short break as we continue our recap of the year that was. Welcome back to the year that was. I'm Melissa Dupré. Every day, legal guns are confiscated from the streets of the Western Cape, Gauteng and Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, and yet nearly every day people are shot and killed in these areas. This year, there's been several violent incidents related to gang violence in the country, calling into question what the police are doing to turn things around.
There has definitely, since the beginning of May, been increased gang activity. There is a push for territory and drug trade, and this has definitely impacted on the levels of violence.
Women and children bear the brunt of gang violence, and whole communities are left traumatized.
There's one particular gang at the moment who suddenly is present in many different communities. Suddenly they are involved in conflict in Belhar, they're involved in conflict in Ocean View, they're starting new chapters all over, they're involved in conflict in Manenberg. So we're seeing a gang that previously had very limited resources suddenly have a lot of firearms and a lot of logistical and organizational capacity, challenging bigger gangs, bigger established gangs, drawing members away from the hard living. So when something like that happens, something is afoot. There is a new player, there is some sudden surge of resources, there is a source of firearm supply to that gang.
Smith says the only way to deal with ongoing gang violence is through crime intelligence and investigation.
It is frustrating to us that crime intelligence and investigation and the specialized units and the National Prosecuting Authority and that whole conviction chain does not impact on this. We're still seeing gang conviction rates below 2%. And as long as that is the case, these communities will not know peace.
He says police detectives are severely under-resourced, with some dealing with over 200 cases each.
Our own watching briefs that we do over these firearm cases, we have done over the last 2 years, we have tracked just on 700 arrests for firearms. We can only find 6 convictions relating to those arrests on 2 years. That means that the criminal justice system has failed us in 99% of the cases. We have a 0.89% success rate at the moment for convictions.
Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile admits the police can't win this war alone. He's welcomed assistance from the city of Cape Town, saying they are already reaping the benefits of sharing resources, including the use of the city's CCTV cameras.
I can see the communities now starting to say no to gang violence, and that's where it starts, because those are our children, and somebody is a father, a mother to that child now who's 14 and 15 years of becoming a gang. So if we as a community where we stay, we take a stand to say no to gang violence, and my child is not going to be part of that. And let's look at how do you save your child?
While police confiscate illegal guns every single day, he says firearms are brought in from other provinces, other countries, or have been stolen.
From January to March, that starts with official release, we have 518 guns that were taken off the street where people were arrested. I'm not talking about the guns that we confiscated, those that were found abandoned by people. I'm talking about that where we arrested people. And over 7,000 ammunition that was also recovered.
As the city and SAPS work together, communities need to be included and protected. Aisha Ismail, Cape Town.
Through the sheer volume of cash in transit robberies, it runs the risk of becoming just another number. But for the families affected, it remains a very real and heartbreaking reality. There have been over 250 attacks this year, with the number expected to rise over the festive season. Our news teams and shows zoned in on the topic.
There appears to be a spike in cash and transit heists in the country, particularly in Gauteng, Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. An armoured cash vehicle was set alight during a robbery attempt on the N2 between KwaMashu and Nandi Drive in Durban. And in Gauteng, robbers cornered and blew up yet another cash and transit vehicle along the N12 near Diepkloof in Soweto. Let's now chat to Mike Bolhuis, who's a specialist investigator, about why we are seeing a resurgence in CIT robberies and why SAPS appears ill-equipped to deal with it. Let's just speak about this current surge that we are seeing in cash and transit vehicles. Many are saying it's a lead up to, if I can call it, the silly season, December, where we do often see an increase in these heists, but also in criminal activity. Can we attribute it to that?
Yes, we can. Take note that every year between September, October, and November, there is a 200% to 300% increase in all crimes. It's like the criminals also by the end of the year want to take as much in as they can. And they're obviously going to take advantage of this, especially the October holiday season they already have, and they will in December as well. So there is an increase and there will be a definite increase. So the people must be aware of this.
Let's speak about why this cash and transit heists and these blow-ups that happen seem to be getting worse. I mean, we have been covering this for years and years, and it seems as though the criminals are getting smarter and the boots on the ground are unable to catch up.
It's exactly that, and we have said it, so many have said it, the media has said it, that the police is definitely ill-equipped. They unfortunately cannot curb crime, they cannot prevent the crime, and the criminals know this, and crime begets crime. When a crime is successful, other criminals will have a look and get involved. And that's why when crime is happening and it's not addressed by the authorities, they will definitely do more crime and more will get involved. And that's why I always say crime begets crime. So especially in our economic situation today, it will become worse. Our economic situation in South Africa is getting to the worst of the worst. Everything is expensive: food, traveling, the load shedding, the extreme damage, the COVID before, the corruption in our government, in the authorities. It's just everywhere. And the mindset out there is one of so many that in the past wouldn't even consider committing crime will get involved in doing crime today to get for themselves as much as possible. So there will be more criminals as well.
But are authorities doing enough, and what more can they do to deal with this? Because looking at this, not even as a journalist, but just as a citizen, it just does not seem to get any better. When I see those cash and transit vehicles, I panic because it happens so quickly and it's so aggressive. It's a really aggressive crime that happens.
It's a real dire situation, and you've explained it exactly as it is, and that's how all and everybody in the public feels. And fortunately, we have all the news media that totally always uncovers this and exposes this, but it unfortunately leaves all the public people extremely paranoid and in fear. But the police as well. Remember, the policemen aren't MacGyvers or Rambos. They just don't jump in cars and go and chase the criminals. They are quite scared because the law protects the criminal today. They must be very careful how they address the situation. And I have a big problem with that. I have said before so many times, the only way to deal with crime is harshly, zero tolerance. And if policemen find themselves in imminent danger, they must be allowed to really shoot and defend themselves. But you also need to draw a line between corruption, because many a times some of these policemen are involved in these very cash-in-transit robberies.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Year That Was. Coming up soon, we look at how our news teams have been tackling issues around the lack of service delivery in the country and the impact of our failing infrastructure on the economy. From myself and the team, thanks for watching.